The outlook wasn't brilliant for the Mudville Nine that day. The score stood 4-2, with but one inning more to play. And when Cooney died at first and Barrows did the same, a pall-like silence fell upon the patrons of the game. A straggling few got up to leave in deep despair. The rest clung to that hope which springs eternal in the human breast. They thought, if only Casey could. But get a whack at that, we'd put up even money now with Casey at the bat. But Flynn preceded Casey, as did Jimmy Blake, and the former was a hoodoo, the latter was a cake. And so upon the multitude's grim melancholy sat, for there seemed to be but little chance of Casey getting to the bat. But Flynn let drive a single, to the wonderment of all, and Blake, the much despised, tore the cover off the ball. And when the dust had lifted and men saw what had occurred, there's Jimmy safe at second and Flynn hugging third. And from 5,000 throats and more there rose a lusty yell. It rumbled through the valley, it rattled in the dell, it pounded off the mountain and recoiled upon the flat. For Casey, mighty Casey, was advancing to the bat. There was an ease in Casey's manner as he stepped into his place. There was a pride in Casey's bearing, a smile lit Casey's face. And when responding to the cheers he slightly doffed his cap, there was no stranger in the crowd could doubt 'twas Casey at the bat. 10,000 eyes were upon him as he rubbed his hands with dirt. 5,000 tongues applauded when he wiped them on his shirt. And when the writhing pitcher ground the ball into his hip, defiance flashed in Casey's eyes. A sneer curled Casey's lip. And now the leather-covered sphere came hurtling through the air, and Casey stood a-watching it in haughty grandeur there. Close by the sturdy batsman, the ball unheeded sped. "That ain't my style," said Casey. "Strike one," the umpire said. From the benches black with people there rose a muffled roar, like the beating of storm waves on a stern and distant shore. "Kill him! Kill the umpire!" shouted someone from the stands. And it's likely they had killed him had not Casey raised his hand. With a smile of Christian charity, great Casey's visage shone. He stilled the rising tumult. He bade the game go on. He signaled to the pitcher, and once more the Duns fair flew. But Casey still ignored it, and the umpire said, "Strike two!" "Fraud!" cried the maddened thousands, and the answer echoed, "Fraud!" But one scornful look from Casey, and the audience was awed. They saw his face grow stern and cold. They saw his muscles strain, and they knew that Casey wouldn't let that ball go by again. The sneer had fled from Casey's lips. His teeth were clenched in hate. He pounds with cruel violence his bat upon the plate. And now the pitcher holds the ball, and now he lets it go. And now the air is shattered by the force of Casey's blow. Oh, somewhere in this favored land, the sun is shining bright. The bands are playing somewhere. Somewhere hearts are light. And somewhere men are laughing and little children shout. But there's no joy in Mudville. Mighty Casey has struck out. Go!